Locals radio station for the Monterey Bay, KRML. Steb Montez with you. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. And once again, we are lucky to have another guest here at the station, and joining us on the line is Emberly Pridham, co-author of the book series, If Not You. Emberly, how are you?
I'm doing good, thank you.
At a time where stories are so important to us and, things to take your mind off of everything going on in the world, especially for children right now who are dealing with being out of school in a lot of places and finding ways to connect. Stories are so important in that. What made you decide to focus your book series on inventors and inventions?
My husband and I, we always wanted to write a children's book together. Funny story, people would always ask me what my husband does for a living, and as I would explain, their eyes would just kind of glaze over in confusion. So that's how we came up with the idea that it'd be fun to write an educational children's book about it.
And the book introduces children to the world of inventions and inventors. How does it go about doing that?
Yeah, so our books are about a family. They're about a girl and a boy named Brooke and Noah. They're inspired by their grandpa and their mutual delight in how inventions come to be discovered. They look for ways to improve the world around them. For instance, Brooke in her everyday school life, and Noah trying to discover things in his treehouse and ways to build a treehouse. Inventions play such a big part in our everyday life. And our books explain the importance of inventors and inventions that have transformed our world into what it is today. The kids today are going to be tomorrow's inventors.
Creativity is such a huge part of inventing. I mean, it's the main tenet of it. How does that explanation to children kind of translate as far as having them understand the areas of development and creativity and teamwork? How are those addressed in the book and presented to the kids?
That is such a great question. But I feel like the best way to teach children is to learn by example. The inventors of yesterday created everything that we rely on today, such as things we take for granted, like the cell phone, the electric toothbrush, and the safety pin, which is so cool for kids to kind of dive in and explore throughout our book.
Yeah, that's something that you kind of take for granted every day that you're just picking up and using without any thought as to someone had to think of this in the first place, right?
Exactly. You would never expect that there's a whole story behind everything that we use in our everyday life, which is so crazy.
Well, with your contribution to the creation and design of the book, what exactly was that role? Like, did you just decide we're going to do this and you just put it to paper, or how did that process begin?
Yeah, so my husband and I, we kind of divided things up, which came natural for us because my husband took over the inventions and patent side, and I took over all the creative and design of the book. Since my background is in fashion and design, so that was kind of cool. We also had help from our 5-year-old daughter. She gave us her input, which made it really fun.
Right. If you have someone in-house that's kind of from the perspective that you're aiming to reach, and that's a great resource there. With COVID being the forefront of a lot of people's minds this holiday season and just this year in general, did that play a role into the If Not You series?
It totally did. With COVID, I feel like we are all going through the same thing. We have kids learning from home as well as virtually attending class. It's been tough to keep our kids focused for sure. So that's what's great about our book. I feel like kids truly need lessons that engage them and that give them a purpose during these stressful times. Inventors are just heroes kids can look up to be.
Yeah, and it is something that there's so much information out there about inventors and inventions and how they all came to be. That's like an endless resource for education for the kids and something to aspire to. And the process is such a great process.
For sure, and that's why I feel like it would make the perfect holiday gift, just because we live in different times with technology kind of taking over. So I feel like it's important more than ever to teach our children and to spark their curiosity at a young age.
Yeah, absolutely. And folks, if you are interested picking up this book and finding out more, what's the best way to do that, Emberly?
For sure. You can just check out our website at www.ifnotyouBooks.com and our Instagram and Facebook, which is If Not You Books.
All right. Well, Emberly, thank you so much for joining us. We absolutely appreciate your time. I look forward to delving into the book with my little ones. We've got more great music on the way for you here on the Locals radio station for the Monterey Bay, KRML.